first junket.
Is it?
It is. Couldn't be
Am I
happier.
your first person?
You are my first ever person, so yeah. So you've described working on A Wrinkle in Time as a form of self-care. What made it so enjoyable?
Gosh, I'd been working on really serious things for about 3 years with Selma and the documentary 13th, and having to think about all these kind of dark issues in American history. And so with this film, I got to design flowers and create leaves that fly, beautiful clothes for the missus, and work with a gorgeous girl like Storm Reed, just such a gorgeous spirit. And so it was really opened my heart and just really changed my perspective on the world.
And you've mentioned that you really specifically wanted Storm Reed to play Meg Murray, and I just wanted to know what about her as an actress sort of stood out to you?
Well, I think with a lot of child actors, you have to really make sure that they're not just saying the words in a compelling way, but that they're really feeling what they're saying as a real actor does. And so it becomes difficult to try to kind of get through some of the kind of kid acting. But she's a real actress, deeply feeling, deeply rooted actress who carries every frame of this film and goes through a full array of human emotion in it. So it's a tour de force performance for a 13-year-old girl, and she's very, very special.
And did you sort of have that same pull towards the women that were cast for the misses, so Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling and Oprah? Was there that same sort of knowing that you wanted them to
Oh,
be
yeah.
misses?
No, I mean, I really was interested in the idea of Mindy Kaling because I think we see so few Asian women, Southeast Asian women, in major roles. So I was really captivated by the idea of her and so happy that she wanted to come and play with us. Reese Witherspoon's one of the few actresses of her generation who can do comedy and drama. So she can win an Oscar for Walk the Line, but she's also Sweet Home Alabama and Legally Blonde, and then Oprah Winfrey. You need someone to play the wisest woman in the universe. You're just happy you have her in your speed dial. So they all together just created this really unique trio with a tremendous energy.
And I read that you wanted them to sort of be different faiths, different sizes, different races,
Yes.
very intentionally.
Yeah.
Can I ask why that was?
Well, no, I think it's really important that we show all kinds of people on screen, that we are including everyone in our society. So our film should reflect the culture, I believe, and culture should reflect film. And so it means that we need to have more kinds of people in more kinds of parts. So really, one of the joys of this film for me is that, you look at the poster and you see, a different array of people than you usually do, and everyone's welcomed into the movie.
Yeah. And I also read that you said that being from Compton, that A Wrinkle in Time was initially a story that sort of missed your neighbourhood. And I just sort of wondered how important it was for you to make sure that girls that are from Compton or similar neighbourhoods they do feel like this is something that doesn't pass them by and is something that they're included in.
Yeah, no, it's really key. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful book written by Madeline L'Engle in the early 60s. It's been translated into over 100 languages, and you want, there's something beautiful at the core of the story, and you want all kinds of girls to be able to see themselves in Meg. So I really commend Disney for holding hands with me to make her a girl of color. And the idea that all kinds of girls will be able to look at the film. Charles Wallace is played by a Filipino boy. All kinds of people can look at themselves and see themselves in the story. Allows us to enter into a story that's about love, it's about hope, it's about holding hands with each other, it's about going into the future in a brave way, especially in these dark and divisive times. And so I hope everyone gets the message and feels welcomed into the movie.
And I've also read that you've spoken about the sort of feminization of fantasy, and there's obviously a conversation also going on about sort of Afrofuturism, and they've both, sort of reached the mainstream. And I just wanted to know what you sort of thought was happening now in this particular period of time that's allowing these narratives to reach the mainstream.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got some interesting things out there, but it's really only enough to count on one or two hands, right? So we want to celebrate the moment, but we also want to be sober about all the work that still needs to be done, And, film has been around for 100 years, and over 100 years at this point. And, we're just in a phase where we're able to have, two directors in America holding the #1 and #2 spot with Black Panther and Wrinkle in Time. It's never happened in the history of film. So, it's something that, I don't know if you celebrate the moment, but you really say, gosh, it's 2018. It took that long for that to happen. And what we have to do to make sure that, it's not another 100 years before these walls are broken down. So, it's just really staying focused and keeping your head down and doing the work.
Thank you so much. I also noticed that in the film, there are obviously white male characters, and they're sort of in the, I suppose, buddy and sort of helper roles that I suppose are normally the sort of black best friend roles in general films. And I was just wondering if that was like an intentional thing or if that was just generally sort of how it came about.
Yeah, you know, in the film, I mean, in the book, that's Madeline Lanko has the boys kind of as the secondary characters to Meg, which is one of the reasons why I love the book. And so when you apply culture to that and race to that, and you make Meg a black girl, you know, then the Caucasian boy who goes on the ride with her becomes her sidekick. And so I think that's interesting in terms of kind of reversing the traditional cinematic tropes and inviting people to look at a different kind of hero. And I think it's also really important that boys see that they can be led by a girl, that they can be led by a girl of color. You know, there's a great moment in the film that I really love where Meg says, "Do you trust me?" And he says, "Yes, I trust you," and he follows her into danger, knowing that she's going to help them find their way out. And so these are really powerful images for kids, but not just girls of color, not just girls, for boys, to be able to take that in and say, "Oh, okay, that was you know, I can follow a girl and she'll save me." You know what I mean? And so yeah, those are some of the things we want to plant. This film is for kids. It was designed for children, you know, ages 7 to 14. And so, you know, happy that it's really hitting that core audience in a beautiful way.
And I know you've been asked this several times, but obviously, did you ever feel like there was pressure being the first woman of colour to direct a $100 million budget film, especially that sort of being the only person to have that seat at the table? And also, I think A Wrinkle in Time has been referred to as an unfilmable film, and you've sort of done what people have said is impossible, twofold. So did you ever sort of feel like pressure when sort of picking up that call from Disney?
No, you know, you just, no, because I put on my jeans and I go to set every day and I do my work, you know, and the day-to-day of it, you don't really think of those huge things. It's kind of like when you, I don't know, go to the family reunion and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you've done so well with your life." Like, actually, I have done well with my life. You know, it's like an overview doesn't really take hold in the day-to-day. So I just didn't think about it too much. Just went about my work, and you know, the hope is that this film will be one that brings hope and inspires people who want to direct, but also the kids who it was made for. Like, these are really dark times. These kids are hearing a lot of things that that kids shouldn't hear from our leadership. You know, in all different parts of society. And so it's just a little bit of light in there to say, you know, you are enough, and the ways in which we should treat people should be kind and should be supportive of one another. And those are some of the things we want to get across.
Absolutely. And finally, I guess, what do you want Hollywood as well as children to sort of be able to learn from this film?
Yeah, you know, it's for kids. It's that they are enough. They are enough to change what's going on around them, in their families, in their communities, in this world. If everyone brought a little bit of light to the day, even when you're just walking around, smiling a smile to someone who needs it, a kind word, really listening and learning from each other. You know, we could really shift so much about what's going on in the world. It starts with each one of us, and so that's what I want kids to know. And that's the core of the book and the movie.